Hello, all you dilithium mining love children out there, and welcome to Undeclared Bajor. My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data.
Hi.
Today we're going to discuss and review Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 4, Episode 5, Indiscretion. Alternate title, The Breen Mile.
Okay, no, I like that. That's good.
That's good because it makes no sense. I just
No, it doesn't make any sense, but it was fun. So
I was like, I was like, Breen, green, The Breen Mile.
So apparently the episode is based on, or the basic plot is, it doesn't say, I'm sorry, it says resembles that of the 1956 John Ford Western, The Searchers.
Ooh.
Because,
is that about a guy who wants to track down and murder his own daughter?
Okay, that's a good question, actually. I didn't look at the details. Hold on, let's find out now. But, like, Korea, one of the writers, is like, yeah, Ira's a big fan of Westerns and loves Peckinpah and John Ford, so I guess him liking that, it affected this. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Set during the Texas Native American Wars, starring John Wayne as a middle-aged Civil War veteran who spends years looking for his abducted niece, accompanied by his adopted nephew.
Huh. I assume he's not going to kill her, though. He just wants to find her.
One would think. Although, I mean, if she's been with the natives for years, maybe when he finds her, he's not happy with like what she has become.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of also like that episode of Next Gen when Worf was trying to track down his dad or something like that.
Oh yeah, you're
right.
The
one we watched for this show.
Yep, I remember. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it says that after he finds her in New Mexico, she's become one of the wives of like the leader of the Comanche tribe. And she's like, no, I'm one of them now. I want to stay. And it says that Ethan, John Wayne, would rather see her dead than living as a Native American and tries to shoot her.
Oh, jeez.
That is kind of like the episode.
So, yeah. Some similarity there for sure. But as always, you can expect full spoilers up through the episode being discussed and a possible small number of spoilers for later in the series kept to an appropriate minimum.
Also, full spoilers for The Searchers, the 1956 John Ford movie.
Yeah, too late.
If you don't want to hear those spoilers, rewind like 2 minutes and then skip.
Right. No, I'm putting no warning in front of that. Indiscretion originally aired on October 23rd, 1995. It was written by Nicholas Correa. Story by Tony Marbury and Jack Trevino.
Yes, I mean, Nicholas Correa we talked about recently because the one other thing he did was Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah.
And he's a friend of Marco Lemos. He's that guy, so I guess he was like, hey, I want to write that episode that you're going to be in.
Sure.
But Jack Trevino and Tony Marbury appear to have 2 episodes of Deep Space Nine that they did, and then Trevino also co-authored Star Trek New Voyages episode To Serve All My Days in 2006 alongside DC Fontana and Ethan H. Koch. So I don't even know what Star Trek New Voyages is, honestly.
Yeah, that's a brand new one on me.
Oh, live-action fan film series.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, the other DS9 episode, which is going to be in this season, actually, that the 2 of them did together was Little Green Men.
Ooh. I wonder what that's about. And the episode was directed by LeVar Burton.
In his first appearance as a Deep Space Nine director.
LeVar Burton getting some work.
Yep.
We open this episode with Kira meditating in an interesting shot where the candle flames line up with her hands. So LeVar Burton getting fancy right off the bat.
Yep.
She gets a call from Worf that she has a call from someone named Razka Karn. Is this always the procedure for getting personal calls?
That's a good question. I just love how, like, Worf is like, yeah, he says he's a friend of yours. Clearly, I don't believe that you would be friends with this guy.
I mean, I guess he called, like, the Deep Space Nine main number. He didn't know Kira's, like, personal number.
Yeah, maybe so. They don't have, like, an automated, if you want to speak to so-and-so, press 1.
Right. He's just probably like, talk to a person, talk to a person, talk to a person.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Worf picks up, he's like, hello? It's like, can I talk to Kira? It's like, ugh. Because I was like, is Worf the station receptionist now? Or
he's what is he? He's the strategic operations officer. Maybe that includes
Right.
taking calls.
And receptionist.
Yeah.
So Raska tells Kira that he found a piece of something called the Ravenok. But he's stuck in the Badlands due to some issues with the Tholians, so she has to come get it from him. Which are the Tholians the scary fire spider people?
Yeah, the Tholians are the ones that at this point we've never seen. I don't think, unless you count Star Trek the animated series. I think they appeared once there, but yes, they're like weird crystal spider things.
So yeah, I would hide out from them too.
I don't know if you noticed that the actor playing Razga Khan we have seen before in the Next Generation, actually.
Okay, I was like, because he looks so familiar, and I was like, have we seen this character before? Or, okay, who is he in the Next Generation then?
He plays, let me give this guy, Sirna Kolrami, the Zach Dorn master of Stratagema, who like plays against.
Oh, the guy
Data
who plays the
or whatever.
Wiggle Fingers game with
Yep,
Data.
Wiggle Fingers, right.
Okay. All you had to say is Wiggle Fingers. No, I mean, maybe it's just he's from being one of those guys that you see around, but
Yeah, it could
like,
be. I don't know,
he has a
look him
really
up on
Star
IMDb.
Trek look to him. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, I could see that. Hold on, let's see. What else have you been in, guy? Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, always good, yeah.
Definitely.
I
You know who he is? Okay, wait. Before you get there,
Okay.
here's where I'm almost certain I know him from. He's the guy in Total Recall who tries to psych Arnold into believing he's still in a dream.
Total Recall, Dr. Edgemar.
Yep.
There
Okay.
you go. Yeah, he seems like he definitely is one of those guys that's just in lots of stuff.
Yeah.
He's in Scrooged as Mike the Mailman. I like Scrooged. That's a good Christmas movie. Night Court. I do like Night Court. Tango and Cash.
Oh, wow.
Doogie Howser, MD. Just random stuff.
Yep. He's just out there working.
Yep. Until, looks like his last credit was 2000, so I guess he's not out there working anymore.
Well, I hope he has a nice retirement or whatever.
Let's see. What does it have? Oh, yeah, he died in 2001, so...
Oh, okay. Well,
there you go.
That's... So later, Kira is getting some kind of security briefing from Odo, but seems distracted. She tells Odo about the Ravenok. Odo is clearly skeptical that the Ravenok is out there to be found, but knows that Kira had a friend aboard the apparently missing ship. That friend was named Lorit Akram. So Odo knows Kira has to go look. He's like, yeah, I mean, I understand. However, as Kira is packing for her trip, Cisco pays her a visit and tells her the president of Cardassia called and asked her to wait for the Cardassian representative to show up to join her. Apparently, this was a Cardassian ship carrying Bajoran prisoners, and in the spirit of the new peace, Cisco begs her to play nice.
She's just like, why, though? I don't
Yeah.
wanna. And he's like, I mean, there's a treaty now. You have to do this kind of stuff together.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Then Cisco goes off and steps into the set of a completely different TV show, which I'll call Friends, but in outer space and with no jokes. Although I swear you could put a laugh track over these scenes, and it would sound correct.
Yeah, maybe.
He and Dax talk about Cassidy having to leave the station soon. When speak of the devil, Cassidy shows up. It turns out she's staying an extra day for a job interview with the Bajoran government. If she gets the job, she'll never have to leave the sector. Oh, good, says Cisco.
Clearly
great.
not. Yeah, clearly not feeling that good.
Then Dax butts in and is like, and you should get Ben to get you quarters on the station. And then I love Cisco gives her this like look that's just like, bitch. But then he's like, yeah, with like flawless comedic timing.
Thank you so much, Dax. So helpful. This once again brings us into the realm of like the economy for me, because I'm like, so are rooms on Deep Space Nine free, or is she suggesting that Cisco hook her up with a free room because she's getting paid by the Bajorans?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so
I mean, it's a Bajoran station, so...
Yeah.
I bet they could probably talk the Bajoran government into giving her free rooms.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Since it is a government job. Cisco heads back to Ops, where the Cardassian representative wants to beam directly to Ops. Which, wouldn't that be the standard procedure anytime a ship just wants to drop one guy off?
I don't know. I mean, that is the only transporter that unless you count cargo transporters, that I remember seeing on Deep Space Nine is in Ops. But also, I assume that if, like, random ship wants to send one guy over, they don't beam them directly into the heart of operations on the station.
Yeah,
although
true.
We've established in the past that apparently anyone can just come up the elevator and come into Ops without any problem.
Right. There's absolutely no, like, security in place. I mean, we've seen people beam directly to the infirmary before.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we've seen people beam directly places, but I don't remember, like, a transporter pad where people beam to other than the one in Ops, so...
Yeah. As the Cardassian man materializes, we realize who it is. If you didn't notice his name in the credits earlier. It's Dukat! Let's get this show on the road, he says.
Yeah, he's in a hurry. I do like that there's a note in here that Dukat was promoted to Legate prior to the events of this episode. The stage directions in the script mention he is now a Legate, and his uniform has changed to reflect his promotion.
Huh. I mean, well, wasn't a Legate... Didn't it used to be a member of the Central Command? Basically, or...
Maybe? Okay, hold on. Yes, okay, so Legate was a rank given to members of the Cardassian Central Command and highest-ranking flag officers in the Cardassian military.
Okay. So.
Vaguely familiar with the Breen rank of Thought.
Uh-huh.
That's sort of relevant to this episode with
right.
the Breen.
So I don't know how that works with the new civilian government in place, but...
Yeah, maybe he's just like the highest-ranking military guy.
Yeah, he's like a chief of staff or something. On the way to the Badlands, Kira lays down the ground rules. This is her mission, and she expects Dukat to obey orders. She asks Dukat why he's even here, and he pauses a little too long before hand-waving some excuse about the Ravenok being under his general command.
Despite him now being like one of the most high-ranking guys, he came all the way out here because once upon a time, this ship was sort of under him.
Yeah, like as if he was still the prefect of Bajor, he would have still gone on this mission. Kira reveals that her friend Lorit was the one who recruited her into the Shakar resistance cell. So, okay, we're building up this Lorit character. So
I like Dukat's like, that pesky Shakar resistance. We never could get them. And then, like, if you remember way back when they accessed the files, like, on the Cardassian files on the Resistance, Kira was all pissed off because it had her, like, a minor operative in, like, an unimportant cell or something.
Uh-huh.
But, now Shakar is head of Bajor, so I guess things have changed.
Well, I don't know. Did it say the cell was unimportant? It just said, like, her role was primarily, like, a go-getter.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Then Dukat goes on a crazy spiel about how the occupation was actually good for Bajor. So he's like, I've been reading about an old Earth politician, Ron DeSantis. The slaves learned valuable trade skills that they were later able to use for their own benefit. He envisions Cardassia and Bajor joining together in some grand alliance. And Kira's like, okay, yeah, maybe, but not me and you.
Yeah. Cardassia and Bajor can be friends. You and me cannot be friends.
And then Kira asks if the runabout can be a place of quiet meditation from now on, which is very similar to a famous scene from True Detective when Woody Harrelson says, "Can we just make the car a place of silent reflection?"
So what you're saying is True Detective stole it from this episode of Deep Space Nine.
Almost certainly. I mean, there's no way two writers would come up with that scene.
No.
Same concept independently. Back with Ross and Rachel, Cisco and Cassidy at dinner. Cassidy reintroduces the subject of getting quarters on the station. Cisco says that's a big step. This leads to an argument about Cisco being afraid of commitment and Cassidy storming out after declaring that she's not going to take that job after all. It's like, we were on a break.
Is it really that big a step? Let's start off with that, where it's just like, it's a good job that she wants, and so she's going to be around. She'll either sleep in her ship or on the station, and I don't see how it makes that big a difference.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no difference, actually, whether she gets quarters on the station or not.
It's not like she's asking to move into his quarters.
Right. In the Badlands, Dukat positively IDs the piece of scrap metal as part of the Ravenok. Apparently some Ferengi found it in the Dozaria system. And everybody knows there's a Class M planet there, but it's barely Class M. It's like Class L and a half. Kira's like, okay, let's go there. But she finds it odd how off course that is for where the ship was supposedly going. So they get to the planet, and they find it plagued by that bane of transporters and sensors, ionization.
Oh.
So, man, all these planets have ionization. It's just like... all the same, she manages to detect a faint signature that could be a damaged warp nacelle. They land on the planet, which indeed seems to be not a very pleasant place, except Dukat likes it because it's hot.
Right. Apparently this is the exact same place that they shot that previous time where Kira went someplace to rescue people from a prison camp.
Was that the Lee Nallis episode?
Yeah, The Homecoming, to be specific about what the episode is called. But yes, okay. It's filmed at the P.W. Gilbrand Co. Rock and Gravel Quarry in Soledad Canyon, which is the same location as Cardassia 4 from the episode Homecoming.
But soon they happen upon the wreckage of the Ravenok, which is like some kind of compositor matte painting or something. I don't know. But then later it's like a whole big set, so I was just kind of wondering, because at first it looks like a matte painting, but then they go there and it's all like a big practical thing, so...
Yeah, and there's a little bit about that in here. Hold on. So, in Indiscretion, this planet was represented using this filming location in Soledad Canyon, which required the shooting company to undergo extreme weather conditions. LeVar Burton says it was brutally, brutally, brutally hot out there in the rock quarry. The site included a lot of very fine gravel that looked like sand. There was this huge 3-story mound of gravel in the quarry. And so the production team added sand in order to cover up the sides of 2 massive set pieces that it represented part of the Ravenok's hull. But it was a problem because it said there were fears over landslides in the canyon, which made burying the pair of set pieces difficult. The risk was specifically with the huge mound of gravel. If you went up to the base of it and you put your foot in it, part of it would come down. Steve Oster remembered. There was a lot of concern about that, and while construction was going on, we were constantly aware of it. Ultimately, the mountain stayed put and did not collapse.
I mean, I gotta say, while watching this episode, I was like, those actors must be miserable.
Yeah, apparently.
Because that place looks horrible. It's a myth about people from Texas that we don't mind heat. We love complaining about heat more than anybody else.
Well, that's why I'm inside, where the air conditioning is. I do like that Ira Stephen Bear, on the other hand, is quoted here. It was nice to be on location for that shoot. I thought it worked. So he was the one that was not miserable, I guess.
I guess, yeah, visually it was a pretty cool location.
Yeah.
So yeah, they find the Ravenok. What mysteries will be revealed here? You'll have to wait while Sisko goes to his relationship advisors, Bashir and Dax.
I don't know why he would tell Dax, or I mean Bashir rather, anything about his relationships.
And then Quark is there, or as he's known on Reddit, U/Q-Man Alpha. The long and short of it is, he gets a lot of advice, but doesn't seem to find any of it very helpful. So I get Dax basically thinks that he should eat crow and professes undying love. Bashir's just like, nah, just be like, my bad, and move on.
And then Quark is like, dump her. Get a woman who does whatever you say.
Yeah. Quark is like, hey, it's like, lay down the law, and if she doesn't like it, just go to the holosuite.
Yep. Which you have to pay me for. So really, that's right. It's a good sales pitch for Quark.
Quark is always playing that angle with those holosuites.
Yep.
Okay, back to the Ravenok. So they examine the wreckage and find evidence it was shot down. Because there's like giant phaser holes all over it. Also, they find some graves. Dukat is eager to get digging to see who's in there, but insists that Kira not watch, because it would dishonor the dead for a non-Cardassian to see them. Dude, I've seen dead Cardassians, thanks Kira, but acquiesces all the same and heads to the ship to check the computer logs.
That's a good point, that she's probably seen a lot of dead Cardassians.
Yeah. I have a feeling she's seen quite a few.
I was looking up stuff about, like, what different classes of planet there were after you mentioned this one being barely Class M.
Uh-huh.
And apparently Class M stands for Minshara, which I now need to find out what that means.
Is this a real world thing or a Star Trek thing?
It seems to be a Star Trek thing specifically. Let's see. Minshara class is a Vulcan designation for a planet suitable for humanoid life.
Ah.
So probably it comes from the Vulcan language, I guess.
Okay. So it's not like a scale from like A, which is like the most horrible, hellish planet ever, to like M, which is like the ones where people can live.
So yes and no, because clearly I wonder if they came up with Class M first and then named it, or what. But probably they've been calling it Class M, and eventually at some point they said what that meant. But it is a scale because this planetary classes started, at least on this list. I assume that there's a lot more, but the ones that have been mentioned on screen, I guess, start with D, which is an uninhabitable planetoid moon or small planet with no atmosphere. So D, H, J, which is a type of gas giant, K, which can be adapted to human use with artificial biospheres, L, which is marginally habitable with vegetation but no animal life. So you're saying L and a half was actually not far off.
Huh.
T is also a kind of gas giant, so I don't know why J and T both get... And then Class Y is from that episode of Voyager where it's a demon class planet.
Ooh.
So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And then we also have the scene where Dukat's like, hey, you need the secret codes to the computers? And Kira's like, no, I got them from Bajoran Intelligence. Which I gotta say, Bajoran Intelligence really seems to be pulling its weight a lot lately. Like, they seem to provide a lot of good intelligence.
Well, I mean, yeah, and so she's like, what, standard codes for that class of ship from this time ago? Yeah, I got those. Which, I get, like, the Cardassians left a lot of crap behind when they left, so it would not surprise me at all if, like, you know, they got some of these ships and were, like, had to break the codes on how to work them.
Yeah. But, I mean, just in the last few episodes, it seems like we keep getting, like, info from Bajoran Intelligence about like the Klingons and the Romulans and all kinds of stuff like that. So
I don't know what kind of intelligence apparatus they've got operating, but I guess it's working okay.
They seem to have an okay one. Digging in the graves, Dukat finds an earring and a bracelet, which cause him to sit there looking heartbroken. And then Dukat reveals the earring and bracelet belonged to Tora Naprim, his Bajoran lover. But there's no sign of Loret. So the quest for Loret continues.
I wonder what his plan was if she was alive. Was he going to kill her too?
I guess. That's a good question. Honestly, there's a lot I don't understand about his plan. But we'll get to that later, I think. But Kira has a trick up her sleeve. Bajoran resistance fighters carried an implant of radioactive isotopes that they could use to leave a trail of isotopes for their comrades to follow if they got captured. Which, okay, I'll roll with it.
I mean, you'd think that would have come up elsewhere, like in that Lean Alice episode, maybe.
Yeah. Although, I guess it's only really helpful in a really certain situation. Like, where you know where they were, and you know they got taken somewhere.
And you can't use your sensors long distance to find them.
Right. Then we get to one of the most bizarre scenes in Star Trek history. They stop for a rest in a cave, and Dukat tries sitting down on a rock, but something goes horribly wrong, and he starts yelling out in great pain. Then he starts involuntarily twerking, and begs Kira to take whatever he sat on out of his ass.
And yeah, no, I think this is pre-twerk, but yeah, basically.
Then she gives him a dermal regenerator, which he immediately starts rubbing on his ass, sending Kira and him into a fit of hysterics. Which, at this point, I begin to wonder if there's a carbon monoxide leak in this cave.
He forgot to turn it on, and it's funny.
And it's just like, he bends over, just with his butt right there in the camera, and starts rubbing it with that thing. It's like, okay, this is, I'm not familiar with the kind of thing I am seeing.
So Ira Stephen Bears has some comments on this scene. He says, there are moments in life when you can be with someone with whom you have nothing in common, who you have nothing but disdain for, and then something happens, a moment of shared experience or shared laughter, and it just changes the playing field. It doesn't mean that you become friends afterward. It doesn't mean that you've broken through to a new level of understanding that'll be right with you for the rest of your lives, but something has changed. It's a bonding moment, and though it's probable that neither of them would ever discuss it after this, their relationship will never be quite the same again. They've started to see each other as people.
Sure. Okay, Ira Stephen Bear, I'll let you have it. Then they sit down to share some field rations, and Kira asks Dukat who Torazial is, a 13-year-old girl whose name was on the ship's manifest, although now she would be like 19. Dukat admits that it's his daughter with Tora Naprem.
After trying to, not even really trying to lie, he's like, I don't suppose you'd believe me if I said this. And she's like, well, you see, Ziala is a Cardassian name.
Right. So here's a tip. If you're going to make up a lie, don't, test the waters with the lie first.
Well, I think he was like, I know it's not going to work, but I gotta, make a token effort.
So, Kira seems to understand. Dukat is here on a rescue mission to save his daughter. No, corrects Dukat. If she's here, I have no choice but to kill her. Oh, you wonder, what cruel twist of fate requires Dukat to kill his own daughter? Well, in the very next scene we learn it's just for political expediency. So there's no, law requiring him to do this.
Nope.
It's just to keep his career.
Well, yeah, because family's the most important thing to Cardassians, and so he can't have them knowing that he cheated on his wife and had a love child or whatever.
Sure.
That would make him look bad.
So, yeah, he's not really in some sort of horrible dilemma where, something is twisting his arm and he has to kill his own daughter. He came up with this plan himself to serve himself.
Also, it's not like anyone actually even knows about her. It's just the possibility that someone could figure it out later.
Right.
And he's like, nah, I can't have that.
Yeah. But Kira is not in favor of this plan, but Dukat's mind seems made up. And there's this whole thing where it's like, well, where was she going on the ship to begin with? He's like, Lesepia, but I can't send her there now because my position isn't as secure, or whatever. Okay. And so, also, logically, shouldn't he have to kill Kira now that she knows about it?
I mean, that's the big thing, is that, this is not a friend of yours. This is about as close as you can get to an enemy without her actively shooting at you at this point. And so she could easily give or sell that information to someone just to, screw you over. But maybe if she's dead, there's no evidence, so, no one can say anything.
Also, now that I think about it, all these prisoners in the mining camp also know who her dad is.
Because she says, oh, the other Cardassians said this would happen.
Yeah, so, I think this plan is just not gonna work, Dukat. But, so, anyway, next, Sisko checks in with Love Doctor Jake, who, after some deliberations with fellow Love Doctor Nog, has decided that Sisko just needs to chill out and let Cassidy live on the station. And also, apparently, there's a Vulcan restaurant on the station, so...
Yeah, that's cool.
And they did also name check the Klingon restaurant. So, lots of great restaurants on the station, it sounds like.
Right, it's good, yeah, mix it up.
Yeah, does sound like a good place to get some quarters. So Kira and Dukat find the end of the isotope trail at a small mining camp where the survivors of the Ravenok are being forced to mine dilithium by the Breen, a race of Princess Leias from Return of the Jedi.
I mean, yeah, kinda.
Among the prisoners, Dukat is stunned to see his daughter.
Well, I mean, first he's running around like, hey, where's this girl? And Kira's like, no, don't tell him. Don't you dare tell him where that girl is.
But, I mean, before that happens, though, he's
that's true.
He's looking through binoculars, and he sees her out there. He's like, oh my gosh, there she is. But yes, they infiltrate the mine using Breen outfits that they got from somewhere.
Yeah, it's really unclear how they found 2 Breen to, I guess, knock out, maybe kill, since they took their cool suits that keep them cool.
Right.
And then they were close enough to the right size that they could stroll in unnoticed. And
that's the main thing. Okay, because I remember the main thing I remember about this episode is this part, because I remember later in a later episode there's a line where someone says nobody has ever seen a Breen's face and lived to tell about it. And then everybody on the internet was like, but what about this episode? Like, did they must have seen the faces when they stole those guys' uniforms.
No, they didn't look, out of respect.
But yeah, they're like, we can't look, otherwise we might not live to tell about it.
Oh yeah, that was the danger, actually. Good point.
Maybe if you see just looking at the face will kill you. I don't know.
Yep, could be.
But I think it's possible they either just snuck into the Breen locker room
and
stole some outfits, which would explain a little bit better how they were able to find some that fit. Or they just like spent a couple of days and walked all the way back to the runabout to replicate some.
I do like the argument where it's like, we need reinforcements, but neither of us is willing to leave the other one here alone, because maybe you'll go and like do it on your own. So I guess we'll just do it, the two of us.
It's like, we can't trust Dukat because then he'll go down there and kill his daughter. And we can't trust Kira because then she'll get the daughter off the planet without killing her. So, it's a dilemma.
If you went to the runabout and either called or took it to get reinforcements, Kira would somehow get the girl off the planet.
But yeah, Kira asks the first Bajoran prisoner she sees what happened to Loret Akram. And he's like, oh, that dude's dead. And then that quest comes to a sudden and disappointing end. Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, sorry. He died 2 years ago. Why'd you take so long to get here? Jeez.
Yeah, it's like he actually died yesterday.
That would be unfortunate.
Then a little firefight breaks out, and Dukat uses this opportunity to run off and go find his daughter. There's a great scene where he knocks out a Breen guard and asks where she is, but he's just like, dude, I'm unconscious. I can't answer you.
Also, we never hear any of them talk, so who knows? Like,
yeah, they might have a language that's impossible to understand. Who knows? But eventually he finds her. She recognizes him immediately, and at first is happy to see him, but he points a gun at her. And then Kira shows up and points a gun at him, and at this point I'm just like, just shoot him, Kira. Just shoot him.
No one will ever know. It's fine.
This is all for the best.
This actress, Cia, Cya, I don't know how you say that exactly, Batten, appears as two other characters in the Star Trek universe. Huh. One from Voyager, some alien Voyager, and then like this like sexy Orion slave girl in an episode of Enterprise.
Huh. All right.
And I was looking at her article in here. She's been in quite a few things, but I like the very last line of her article in this wiki is, Batten is also an original member of the burlesque singing group the Pussycat Dolls.
Oh. Wait, isn't that a burlesque singing group? Yep. Wasn't there a band called the Pussycat Dolls?
There is, I'm pretty sure. So I was like, did they just steal the name for... I don't know. Okay, hold on. Let's see. The Pussycat Dolls were an American girl group and dance ensemble founded in Los Angeles, California, as a burlesque troupe. Okay, so maybe originally.
Okay. So she's an original member of them.
According to her wiki, although in the main Wikipedia article, I'm not seeing a mention of her in this group's article. Hold on, let me see. Oh, there it is. Okay. The only troupe members who remained after the recasting process were... One of them is her. So yes, she's definitely involved in there. Got it.
Okay. Nice. But yeah, Zial is just like, go ahead and kill me. Because I can't be with my father. I'd rather die. And then Dukat just drops his gun and gives her a big hug and says, let's go home. And Kira looks on and is like, what the fuck?
Whatever. I got what I wanted here, I guess. Except for my friend who's dead.
It's like, alright, I'll take it. Then Sisko goes to the cargo bay to apologize to Cassidy, who reveals that she took the job anyway, because it's a good job.
Because screw you, that's why. You don't get to decide what I do.
Even though she was telling everybody who would listen how she wasn't going to take the job. But
yep.
I guess she just took the job.
She likes the drama.
Yeah.
Got to get everybody involved in her relationship drama. It's such a good sign.
Yeah, go for it, Sisko.
Penny Johnson, who plays Cassidy, is in here about this episode and this storyline. More of that is what I like, because they're in love and they mean something to each other, But at the same time, they have a difference of opinion. I would love for her to continue to have those womanly points of view and not cloud them with the captain point of view when she's sharing, because she's both. I have a great chemistry with Avery, and we just fly when we're together. It's not hard at all. He's charming, intelligent, and he really is a gentleman. It's like I've known him forever.
Nice.
So she wants some more of that.
Right.
I'm sure not just because it means her character gets more screen time, but...
yeah. Later, she wants an episode where they go on a break. But wrapping up, back on Deep Space Nine, Kira runs into Dukat on the promenade. Dukat says he's taking Zial back to live with him, presumably on Cardassia, and thanks her for the interesting adventure. And then she just gets a look on her face like, okay, whatever. The end.
Well, and he's got the line where she's like, I hope this doesn't cause you too much trouble. And he's like, I'll let you know, in like a weird way.
Yeah.
And so, according to this, it says that like that final line is a nod towards his hope for a more intimate relationship with Kira. However, Robert Hewitt Wolf and Nana Visitor are both very emphatic that no, there's never going to be even a hint of actual romance between these two, because, as Nana Visitor says, playing Kira, I can't even entertain the thought. It's too disgusting. If you put a gun, and then Wolf says, if you put a gun to her head, I don't think Kira would even consider it. Right.
Yeah, he was like, oh yeah, I'll call you and let you know. And it's like, I'm not really that interested. Like,
I don't give out my number. You have to go through Worf, and he's not going to let you talk to me.
I actually don't know the number to my room.
I've never had to call myself, so I don't know.
Just, call the main line. It's 1-800 Deep Space Nine.
Is that 10 numerals? On DEEPSPACE, and then the number 9. That's 10.
Yeah.
Except that doesn't work with 1-800.
Yeah, there's already 1-800.
There was an area code. Yeah, good call. Okay.
And I think 1 is the country code for the United States. And presumably Bajor would have a different one, so it'd be like...
Bajor's a different country.
I'm sure the real number would be something like +56264 Deep Space Nine or something like that. I don't know.
There's an episode of Lower Decks where they're making second contact with this planet, and so they've already gotten all the first contact stuff out of the way. The second contact is more routine things, and so they're like, yeah, you're gonna have to pick like a comm code. And so it's like they just have, these strings of numbers that are your communications code. So your phone number, basically. Cat, really? Sorry. And so, like, the guy is making a big deal of trying. He's like, no, numbers are very important to our society. We have to find just the one that says just the right thing about us. Sure. And the commander's like, nobody even really sees your comm code. They just say, hey, call this planet. And then, like, it doesn't actually matter.
Huh. It was like some superstitious Chinese people.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's like
pay a lot of money for the certain phone number or whatever.
Yeah, and if you call a Chinese restaurant and they're like, "What's your address?" and you're like 4444, they like immediately hang up on you.
How dare you have that address?
Yeah, because like that's super bad luck.
There was not long after we bought the house that I live in. The house down the street went on sale, and the address number was 1701. And I was like, man, if that had been on sale when we bought this house, I might have wanted to buy that one instead.
There's a road. It's the road that Lowe's is on, called Enterprise Drive.
Yeah.
And I was always like, man, I would love. I don't think it's like possible because it's like way too far north. But if like there was 1701 Enterprise Drive,
nice.
It's like, you ever hear the story of like George Lucas when he was setting up Lucas Ranch or Skywalker Ranch or whatever that place is called? But it was like he had the choice between two properties. One was like on something street and one was on Lucas Street.
Oh, well.
And then like his friend looked at that and was like, dude, you have to pick the one that's on Lucas Street.
Yeah, obviously.
So he did.
I mean, if you're George Lucas and you're building Skywalker Ranch or whatever, probably you can get a road renamed to something that you want. I'm just saying. But,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's there, you got to take advantage of it.
I mean, the jobs or whatever that you might bring to the local economy, you just go to the city and be like, hey, I mean, I'm willing to pick this property, but I want you to do me a little favor.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of little bits in here that were kind of interesting. Like Robert Hewitt Wolf mentions that he modeled these developments in the Cardassian government on the fall of communism in the Soviet Union, with the Obsidian Order based on the KGB. And he says that the military-sanctioned government of the Soviet Union could no longer maintain its dominance upon the collapse of the KGB, which then I went out and looked up. I'm like, I don't think that that's actually the order in which things happened, but also he was closer to it than I am at this point. So,
sure.
But he says that that was the model here, where the dissident movement comes in once the Obsidian Order's out of the way, and they're able to wrest control from the military. So they put a decent amount of thought into that bit, basically.
Sure. I mean, yeah, that was just like a few years ago at this point.
Colin Meaney does not appear in this episode, so this is when he's off doing that movie that they had to rearrange things for.
Oh, also, Morn does not appear in this episode.
Oh, no.
And I went to the Memory Alpha article for Morn to look this up, and I just happened to notice that it was, on the little sidebar where it says, like, status, it was, like, active 2401. I was like, when have we ever seen him be active in 2401? And then I looked up, and apparently, remember, what was his name? Like Sneed, the Ferengi guy that.
Oh yeah,
in Star Trek Picard.
Yeah, one of his associates was Morn, right?
Yeah, it was like
yeah.
His file had that one of his associates was Morn of Luria. So
yeah, I think we talked about that in that episode because there were all sorts of fun names in that file.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about that. I was like, oh man, did we see Morn in Picard or something? But
it's too bad we didn't see Morn in Picard, honestly. Like he's moved away from hanging out at the Deep Space Nine bar, and he now hangs out at that guy's bar or whatever.
That would have made it just more awesome.
Yeah.
I have a couple of nitpicks about this episode. Number one, where did the Ferengi get that one piece of scrap metal? Like, was it floating in space?
Yeah, that's what it sounded like, that it was just like in space near this planet or whatever.
Because they didn't go down to the planet and just get that one piece of scrap metal.
No, probably it said that the thing had been shot at, so probably that's, it got shot and that piece came off or whatever.
Sure. And then they found the warp nacelle signature from 6 years ago when scanning the planet with all the ionizing radiation.
Well, I mean, the warp nacelle is still there and still damaged.
I guess. Because at first I was like, wait, so were they saying that, like, came from the Ferengi ship that went down there? But yeah, I guess it just was the Ravenok or whatever. So, want to jump into some ratings? Title rating first.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, title.
Indiscretion.
I mean, clearly, I get the reference that is being made to,
sure.
I guess really to both, like, the, quote, indiscretion of the Dukat having, a love child or whatever, right. And the, like, much smaller indiscretion of Cisco saying the wrong thing to Cassidy. Like, these are different levels of using that word, but I think it could apply to both. It's just, it doesn't feel, like, very on target. Like, the theme, it doesn't feel thematic to the episode for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels a little kind of, I don't know, to the side.
Yeah.
But, again, just how they named Deep Space Nine episodes, like, they would never call an episode just like The Search for the Ravenok.
That could have been a fun name, actually. Yeah. I like that, yeah.
Even though that would be a perfectly fine title. You just know those guys don't like making titles like that, so. I
mean, they could have called it The Ravenok, maybe. That would have been slightly better.
Yeah, or just Ravenok.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would have been... I think I would have been okay with that. I think Indiscretion also maybe hints a little bit at Dukat's character and, what he's going through. I like the part when, he's like, well, I can't let her live. I have a wife and 7 kids or whatever. And the Kira's like, it's like, you should have thought of that before you slept with her. And he's like, I realize that now.
Duh, I don't need you to tell me that. But at the time, I was lord of all of the slaves, and I could take any of them and do whatever I wanted. So,
right.
When you think about it too much, it's actually really
the whole thing, everything about this is just one of my notes I have written down is Dukat chooses not to murder his own daughter. What character growth?
Yeah. What a clear good guy at this point, right?
What an arc. Wow. Okay, so rate the episode.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you call this episode?
Okay. Well, this is weird. This episode is definitely not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But weirdly, I find it very enjoyable. It's got lots of big world stuff, which I always like, where we feel like, this takes place in a really big universe with lots of stuff going on. So like, we pay a visit to the Badlands, and we check in kind of like what's going on with the Maquis a little bit. I like the guy had he's like, I wish I would have known Dukat was coming. The Maquis would have paid good money for that little bit of information. And then, we have this universe just like with Ferengi traders finding scraps of lost ships and Breen slave labor camps on remote planets and stuff. There's something about all that stuff. I always like that stuff.
Okay.
The Dukat arc is very dumb, though, but at least it's well told for the most part. And then the Cisco story is cute, I guess, but I feel like the Cisco story kind of drags the episode down.
Well, on the plus side, they're progressing this relationship. It's just that they wanted to do something really silly to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, the way they did it was like, oh, what happens next in the relationship? Oh, she wants to move on to the station. Oh, let's squeeze a whole episode worth of relationship drama out of that. But I don't know. This episode has so many flaws, but for reasons I can't explain. I enjoy it, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a full commander.
Okay, that's fair. It's your thoughts are very similar to what I had going on, where it's just like when you break it down, there's lots of bad things that you can point to, where it's like this is dumb or this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But overall, I find the episode enjoyable. I like it. I would watch it again. Even the ridiculousness of Dukat sitting on the cactus or whatever, and then rubbing a thing on his butt. It's like it's fun to watch, even if it's stupid. So for me, it before you even said anything, it was down to, do I like it enough for a full commander, or is it just below the line on into like lieutenant commander? And so I think I'm also going to call it a commander.
Okay. It's just a weird episode, but it's like memorable. I mean, we meet the Breen.
Yeah, that is cool. It's like this mentions in the article that the Breen were mentioned in the Next Generation, although it doesn't point out where exactly. But this is the first or only appearance by the Breen. Who knows?
Oh my gosh! I mean, maybe those Breen will pop up again. Who knows? Where they'll pop up. All kinds of crazy places. But you almost wouldn't think double commander, but I don't have any complaint with it. So.
See.
With that rating, at least.
There's a couple places in the Next Generation where they get mentioned according to their article. So there's the episode Hero Worship, where they say the Breen might have attacked a science vessel. And then there's the episode Interface, where a Ferengi attempted to bribe a Breen pilot into deliberately losing the race.
Huh. I just remember them from the Star Trek Generations, when they go to the solar observatory.
Oh, yeah, because it was like, maybe it was the Breen.
Yeah, they were like, it was like, based on these phasers, it was either like the Romulans, the Klingons, or the Breen. And then they find a dead Romulan, and they're like, okay, that solves that mystery.
Yeah, probably it was the Romulans then.
Although, was it the Romulans? There's some cloak and dagger sneaky stuff going on in that episode, in that movie, so...
Well, yeah, because wasn't it actually the Duras sisters? No, it's been a while since I've seen this now, but... It
was Soren in league with the Duras sisters, and they were stealing the trilithium or something.
Oh, because they took the trilithium from the Romulans, and then the Romulans came here to try to get it back or something. It's been too long.
That's starting to make... that sounds familiar. Yeah. All right, so I guess we can call it there.
Okay.
If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Don't forget to check the description. Maybe something interesting down there. I mean, I've been falling down on that a little bit lately, but yeah, No, I put a link to that Conway's Game of Life one on the pilot.
Oh, nice.
If, a little number file video explaining that whole thing. But I'm Fletcher, about to say goodbye as Data.
Adios.
Till we meet again, keep the blood wine warm, and the prune juice chilled.